Yeah, well, obviously we get ready to get started here with, obviously a great rivalry game at Purdue on Saturday afternoon. Sure, it's going to be one of the most challenging environments that we've been in this year. And, Purdue's playing really, really well. Just in watching them post-Christmas as they've entered January, they have a lot of guys contributing in a lot of different ways. I know all the attention really goes to Carson and what he's doing, which is phenomenal, but they also have just a ton of other guys right now that they're bringing into the fold that are doing a lot of the dirty work. They play extremely hard. They're rebounding the ball great right now on the offensive end. Obviously, their execution is something that they take great pride in, but they're playing very hard on defense as well. So I think they're playing as well as anybody right now, especially when you look at what they've been able to do in Mackey over their time. So that's obviously on our mind right now. And then we'll go right back on the road again at Northwestern, seeing them in early December. I have a lot of respect again for their team and how good they are. Playing them there will be a lot different than playing them here. And, we're going to have to be ready to absorb, another blow, so to speak, in terms of, how tough we're going to have to be. We're going to have to be ready to respond. So, that's what, we've really focused on these last few days, getting our legs back underneath us, trying to have an energy about us. And being able to go back to work here today before tomorrow is an important thing.
Start with Mike, Zach, and Stu.
Just coming off that Nebraska game, are you pushing any different buttons? Are you handling things any different, given that performance the other night?
Well, I just, in general, we were bad at everything, and, that comes back, obviously to the focus of the group, and to be able to realign their minds on what's important is the most important thing. At the same time, I do think that we got to get more guys playing in the games, for either quick stretches or more. We're fatigued. We were fatigued, mentally and physically against Nebraska. We weren't ready. And, I think part of that is, we have some guys playing a lot of minutes. We've dealt with a lot of injuries, so our practices have been tough for guys that are in there. And we've got to get some more guys playing with some confidence. I think that's a big thing for us. And as our staff has approached it, just getting our guys' minds right, This isn't anything different than any other team in the league isn't going to experience at some point in time, a little adversity. And for us, we have to come through it.
Forgive just another injury question, but I think we didn't see Al through the second half of the Nebraska game. Where's he at? Do you expect him to be available this weekend? Is there kind of timetable on that?
We're hoping. He got a kicked or kneed and right in the back of the leg, and couldn't put any weight on it after it stiffened up, and wasn't available to play in the game. So, he's gotten better with treatment this week. If we would have had maybe more of a midweek game, he wouldn't have played. I think he has a chance to play at Purdue. Did a little work on the court yesterday. Still having some problems, I think, running. Hopefully today, as he gets warmed back up, we'll get to see what he can do.
After the Nebraska game, you mentioned that some guys had maybe lost their confidence a little bit. I guess when you were, a player, whether it's high school level, college level, or even if it was a teammate who was kind of going through something like that, what did you kind of do to, I guess, get through that, mental block or whatever it may be?
Yeah, I think, one of the things it's very unique about confidence is, you can get caught up in, the wrong things, whether that's your shooting, whether that's your playing time. I don't know what it is, but, and then it affects everything else. It doesn't affect, the things that you even imagine. And to me, we've lost our confidence defensively. I do think that some of the focus on what's going on is, guys being able to make shots or us scoring at times. But the one thing we've always hung our hat on, especially at the very beginning, was the identity that this team was going to have to play with and how hard they were going to have to compete and dig in. And, in some of our big wins, we were down. We had deficits. We were down under 2 minutes. And you forget that. And I think what we've tried to really center back in on is the edge that we're not playing with right now defensively, and the teams that we're playing can really expose you and take advantage of that. And you have to separate sort of your confidence individually, and you have to focus in on the identity and the responsibility that you have as a teammate to be able to play the way that we want to play. And I think good things start to happen when you sort of get back and invest sort of more so in those things. And, that's been a lot of conversations this week with our guys. It's been a lot of conversations, I think, amongst the coaches that, one of the things that we've been very proud of this group is through a lot of adversity, through injuries, or whatever it may have been, who's available for a game, guys have showed up and been ready to battle and play and give great effort, and I think that's the thing that we have to really zero in on right now.
You mentioned effort. When it comes to things like effort, how much do you try to kind of let the player leadership work those things out instead of you stepping in?
Well, that's a huge point. You know, you got the players have to control what they can control, and you can always control, you know, so to speak, your attitude, your communication with one another, what's important to the group. You know, you have to coach yourself, so to speak, and I think that energy level, that communication, you know, is something that we've got to keep our eyes on. And I didn't think for the first time, especially in Monday's loss, that we had great communication, that we had great fight, that we had guys in timeouts or huddles, or even in the locker room, you know, at times, you know, really being, you know, zeroed in on, hey, you know, we're okay, or we got to do this better, blah, blah, blah. I think it was more so of a lethargic deal. And it can happen. I mean, it happens to a lot of guys or a lot of teams. They go through a season where the mental is just as much as the physical, and I think that's the thing that we kind of have to keep our eyes on. Like I said, we got to zero in. The players have to be engaged, and our best players have to be the guys that are engaged. And I think that's something that, you know, the guys with experience, veteran guys in our system for a couple years understand how we have to play, and, you know, those guys got to hold each other accountable to the best of their ability.
Arch, you talked about Purdue playing better since Christmas. They had a stretch in there where they had 3 games in 20 days. That gives the coaches, I guess, a little more time to teach and that sort of thing. Have you seen that from them? And by the same token, you had the 12-day break around Christmas. Did that affect your momentum at all?
In terms of our break, it didn't affect our momentum at all. I mean, we had good workouts, good practices leading into the beginning of January in Big Ten play. You know, I think one of the things that's unfortunate is, you know, we lost Robert for a good portion of all those practices and weeks, and having that sort of get him back into the flow is good, but he's still not himself in terms of his confidence level and how he was playing before he went out. So that changed us just a little bit, just in terms of having his consistency, especially on the defensive end of the floor. When it comes to Purdue, you know, I'm not real sure what they're doing in terms of their practices or whatnot, but I just see them really investing in more people playing a bigger role. They have a lot of different guys in there right now, young and old, contributing, and I think that's really made them better, especially defensively. You know, I think they're playing very, very hard right now. They have at least what I can tell is more of an emphasis right now on offensive rebounding. They have a lot of guys right now contributing on the glass, hustle plays, long rebounds. They're scrapping right there much differently, and I think they have more guys contributing in their own way. It's not just a one-guy show. Carson's a terrific player, and he's gonna be a terrific player. But like I said before, I think they just have a group that's playing really well together right now, and you can tell coming off of, you know, their non-conference schedule, it was very tough, that they're tested, and I think as they've gotten into the Big Ten, they have their confidence and their belief in what they do.
You mentioned one of those guys that's playing a lot more lately is Trevion Williams. How much has he changed, you know, what they do? How much different are of a scout are they since he's been playing a lot more?
He's doing really well. He's going to be a terrific player in this league, and you can tell that you know, they're starting to trust him a lot more. You know, he gives them an added dimension because he's got great hands. He's a terrific offensive rebounder. He's skilled and nimble. They can give him the ball at times, and I think, to me, just in watching him, he's going to be he's got a bright future, but he's going to be a bright spot for them coming into Big Ten play. He's giving them another strong body that they can play in and around the basket, where it's, you know, it's not always just around the perimeter. You know, he's tough to deal with, and you know, he's definitely made a big positive impact on their team.
You kind of mentioned a bit earlier about maybe needing some more guys to play in there to give rest to some of your starters and stuff. Who do you look to in particular at a time like this when you're looking for guys to come off the bench and relieve?
Yeah, well, I mean, the hope is obviously, you know, that we can get, you know, Demezy, Duran, Cliff, and Jake sort of in the mix. And Duran's really, you know, struggled since rolling his ankle in the Illinois game. He has not been himself. He's been having a very hard time moving. And with that being said, we've had to get Clifton in there a little bit, and just in looking at some other things, just from a rebounding perspective where we're struggling right now, I could see us having to try and play Juwan more with another guy rather than with just Justin all the time. So that gives another added development to our team in just in terms of our depth, that we can maybe get another guy or two in there for short bursts. But I see Demezy being able to start to work in there. Demezy can shoot the ball for us. He's a big, strong kid. And, you gotta be able to trust these guys, and to do it, you got to play them. So for us, we're trying, and we're definitely looking at different options in terms of making us a deeper team, because I think that'll make us a harder playing team. And I think that'll give us more of a camaraderie, more of a chemistry as we get into January, where there's a lot more guys feeling good rather than, as you go through even the winning and the losing. I'm not part of it. It's all part of it. And you got to go through your roles, and the coaches got to make decisions. But we're looking for more help right now. We're looking for answers, and I think that those guys, as long as they stay with it and keep coming to work, firing them in there is going to help us.
You talked about Rob kind of getting back to, getting his confidence back, just his rhythm back. How big of a miss was him not being able to work with that long break y'all had around Christmas, just maybe on being able to review what had worked well for him, what he needed to improve on from those first 2 months, and have that kind of intensive time to just kind of go back and work on his own game in that way?
Yeah, it's an unfortunate setback for him. And he wasn't able to do much in and around Christmas break at all. As he's gotten a little bit better, he started to work more and more. He's still not even right now able to practice full go just because of his wind. So, you're taking 3 or 4 weeks off, and he hasn't felt well in most of those weeks. You just don't come back, come back swinging. He's the type of kid, I think, that is really mindful. He's diligent. He's smart. And I think he knows right now that he's going to, start to play more and more minutes as the games, continue to come. But he's also a guy that right now is starting to feel his way back into the flow of the game, shooting, passing, playing defense. It's a timing thing. Basketball is so much about rhythm, and he got his rhythm sort of knocked out. So we're hopeful as each day goes by, he gets his legs back under him, so to speak, I think is what our staff has tried to, consider it. It's more of a, get your feet under you a little bit, and that's what we're trying to get with him. But he was a big part of what we're doing, and he'll continue to be so. And hopefully as time goes by, he starts to regain a little bit of his, I don't want to say confidence, but more of his sturdiness in terms of what he's brought to the table for us over the course of the first non-conference.